Speech off.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So, I'm going to do the first half of what I added to Goodreads in September, and boy, is it a lot. So yeah, we're just going to get started. I am not going to do a weekly wrap-up of books this month because I'm participating in the Back to Hogwarts readathon, and it's going to get confusing what I read for the readathon. It would just get really confusing when I go over everything that I read for the readathon. So I'm just going to do it all at once. Anyway, I have not been having a great reading month regardless. I've only read 6 books, which is not normal for me. I usually have like 10 in a week. And I've only read 6 in 2 weeks, and I've read nothing last week. So, funnily enough, that doesn't change the fact that I have a million books on this video because I've been adding books to my TBR like crazy. So, let's just get started. So, first we have a handful of new releases that I can't talk about. We have Across the Ages, Timeless #4 by Gabrielle Meyer. This one's releasing in November 5th. I'm going to say nothing because it's book 4. Then we have The Grey Wolf, Chief Inspector Amand Kamash, #19, by Louise Penny. This is releasing October 29th. House of Elephants, Witchlings #3 by Clarabelle Ortega, releases October 1st. I'm excited for this one. I need more fantasy for October. Witchy stuff. Then there's a surprise. Out of My Dreams, the Out of My Mind #3 by Sharon Draper, released September 3rd. I did not know this came out. This is #3 in the Out of My Mind series by Sharon Draper. It is about Melody, who has cerebral palsy, and she can't talk or pretty much move most of her body. So, yeah, I love the first 2 books, and I'm interested in this one. I already got it from the library, but I haven't read it because it does not really go with any of the readathon prompts. So now we're going to talk about books I can actually talk about. These first few are going to be all by Carolyn Finnerty. This is a new author that I discovered through Chloe from Always Booked. She added her newest book to her new releases video for September, and then I decided to go on a rabbit hole and find out a lot, basically what these Carolyn Finnerty books were about, and I got interested in all of them, so judge me. So the first one is The Last Days of Us. All Sarah McIntyre has ever wanted was a loving, happy family. So when her husband JP announces on Christmas Day that he is leaving her and their 2 children, 9-year-old Harry and 4-year-old Robin, Sarah is left reeling. But things are set to get worse when Robin is diagnosed with an aggressive brain tumor. Can JP and Sarah unite to fight their biggest battle yet, or will they be on opposing sides once again? With the couple at loggerheads, and with Robin's condition deteriorating day by day, precious time is running out, and JP is getting desperate. Sounds like my kind of tragic book. Next, we have A Sister's Promise. Sisters Laura and Penny were once close, bonded together after the early death of their mother. Laura always had her younger sister's back until one day everything changed and Penny disappeared. 20 years later, Laura finds herself alone and at a crossroad in her life, questioning her marriage and her future. Meanwhile, Penny has spent her whole life running away from her problems, until one day she is forced to stop and face the shocking truth. When Penny turns up on Laura's doorstep late one stormy night, holding the hand of a shivering little girl, Laura is immediately suspicious of her sister's motives. Just what does Penny want, and who is this little girl? Penny carries a devastating secret that will test their bond as sisters and is forced to make an impossible choice. Can the sisters find it within their hearts to forgive and unite before it's too late? Right? I must have this book. Next we have The Family Next Door. On the quiet street of St. Bridget Terrace in Dublin, Eileen Murphy lives alone at a number 26 with her dog Dora. Virtually a recluse, she keeps herself to herself as she tries to come to terms with her tragic past. Next door in number 28 lives beautiful Lucy Walsh, her husband Neil, and their 5-year-old daughter Annabelle. To Eileen, who watches from her window, the Walshes are the perfect family. But one fateful night, Eileen is pulled into into their world, and she realizes that Lucy Walsh's life isn't as perfect as she thought. With the unexpected help of little Annabelle, the women become a lifeline for each other to overcome the demons in their lives. Through Eileen's help, Lucy finds the courage to overcome her fears, and in Eating Lucy, Eileen is forced to emerge from her solitary world and take baby steps to confront her own past. Sounds fun. Next is The Last Goodbye. Kate Flynn has spent her whole life running away. She reckons the best decision she ever made was to leave Ireland the day after she finished school. Having seldom returned since, she would be perfectly happy if she never had to go back there. She is happy in London, where she runs a successful photography gallery with her best friend Nat, though their relationship is going through a rocky patch since Nat began an affair with a married man. When Nate becomes pregnant and her partner Ben persuades her to make the trip home, she is forced to confront everything she left behind and memories of Eva, the mother she felt betrayed her. Kate finds it impossible to forgive Eva, who chose to refuse cancer treatment while pregnant and died, leaving a young family motherless. Do some wounds go too deeply to be healed? Must Eva's choice forever deny Kate real happiness? Next is A Mother's Secret. Okay. In one split second, Aidan Whelan's perfect world is changed forever when his wife, Rowan, and 3-year-old daughter, Millie, are involved in a tragic car accident. Yeah. Helena I cannot pronounce his last name, and her husband, James, have been struggling in their marriage, but a knock on the door tells her that James has been involved in a car accident. Has Helena rushing... What? I'm starting over. This is weird. Helena O'Hurley and her husband, James, have been struggling in their marriage, but a knock on the door telling her that James has been involved in a car crash has Helena rushing to his side. Weird structure. When Aidan and Helena bump into each other at Dublin City Hospital, they soon begin to wonder if it's more than just coincidence that brought them there. Why were Rowan and James in the car together on that fateful morning? Through their pain and tears, they form a bond as they try to piece together what really did happen on the morning of the crash. As the lies begin to unravel and secrets are uncovered, can Aidan save what's left of his family and Helena her marriage? Okay, now we're done with these books. Next we have Muggy Maggie by Beverly Cleary. Heard about this one from Chloe from Always Booked. I need water. This one is about a girl who doesn't want to practice cursive, I guess. And teacher convinces her to do it by, I love this. This is hilarious. She basically gives her notes. She makes her the class messenger. And the girl is so nosy that she learns to read cursive because she has to read what the notes say about her. That would be me. I have no, I'm an obvious eavesdropper. Anyway, next is Until We Find Home by Kathy Gulke. I heard the, one of the narrators for one of her books just say her name.
2017.
Hold on.
Library of Bookshelf.
I'm going to make it say it.
Until We Find Home by Kathy Gulke.
Gulke. Okay. That's how this narrator pronounces it. Until We Find Home by Catherine Gulke. Okay. Anyway, I got this one from Carmen Janae. For American Claire Stewart, joining the French resistance sounds as romantic as a storyline she hopes will one day grace the novel she wants to write. But when she finds herself stranded on English shores with 5 French Jewish children she smuggled across the channel before Nazis stormed Paris, reality feels more akin to fear. With nowhere to go, Claire throws herself on the mercy of an estranged aunt, begging Lady Miranda Langford to take the children into her magnificent estate. Heavily weighed with grief of her own, Miranda reluctantly agrees, if Claire will stay to help. Though desperate to return to France and the man she loves, Claire has few options. But her tumultuous upbringing, spent in the refuge of novels with fictional work friends, has ill-prepared her for the daily dramas of raising children, or for the way David Campbell, a fellow American boarder, challenges her notion of love. Nor could she foresee how the tentacles of war will invade their quiet haven, threatening all who have come to call Bluebell Wood home and risking the only family she's ever known. Sounds good to me. Next, we have the start of a new Amish series, Secret of the Amish Diary, Amish in Mysteries #1 by Rachel M. Phillips. Heard about this one from Hannah from the Teacher's TBR. The people of Pleasant Creek are delighted to welcome Liz Eckhart to their picturesque country town as she reopens the old mansion in bed and breakfast. But a new start and a simpler life aren't the only reasons Liz is setting down roots in the heart of Indiana's Amish community. She is quietly embarking on a quest to find answers about her late mother's secret life growing up Amish. I'm going to stop there. I don't want to know anymore. Next, we have The Good Part by Sophie Cousins. Funnily enough, I heard about this one through Oshina from Oshina Gotta Read Them All. This is not something she actually recommended. She actually DNF'd, I think she DNF'd this, or she didn't like it because it had too much swearing. But this is a British author, and look, confession, I find British swearing hilarious. Like, the words sound so silly that they don't sound like swears to me. Like, well, I'm just going to say it, bloody. I mean, Ron Weasley's line in Harry Potter, that's bloody brilliant. Like, French swears are just hilarious. I just don't get that same ick feeling that I get when I read American swears. Anyway, this sounds fun. At 26, Lucy Young is tired. Tired of fetching coffees for senior TV producers, tired of going on disastrous dates, and definitely tired of living in a damp flat chair with flatmates who never buy toilet paper. Toilet roll, actually. She would quit her job for a better living, but she's not ready to give up on her dreams. Not just yet. After another diabolical day lands in a sudden storm and no money for bus fare, Lucy finds herself seeking shelter in a tiny shop where she stumbles upon a curious wishing machine. Pushing her last coin into the slot, Lucy closes her eyes and wishes with everything she's got. Please let me skip to the good part of my life. When she wakes the next morning to a handsome man, a ring on her finger, a high-powered job, and a storybook, perfect little boy and baby girl, Lucy can't believe this is real, especially when she looks in the mirror and stares back at her own 40-something face. Has she really skipped ahead to the future she's always wanted, or has she simply forgotten a huge chunk of her life? And as Lucy begins to embrace this new life and new relationships, she'll have to ask herself, can she go back, and if so, does she want to? Next is For Those Who Are Lost by Julia Bryan Thomas. Heard about this one from Alma's Book Journey. I'm only going to read the first line of the synopsis because I read too much already when I was reading it to myself. One woman's split-second decision on the eve of World War II will tear a family apart. That is all you need to know. Trust me. You don't want to know anymore? I read too much of the synopsis, and I wish I hadn't. I mean, I'm still going to read it because it sounds good, but anyway. Next, we have Hidden Places by Lynn Austin. Heard about this one from Chloe from Always Booked. I've only read one other Lynn Austin, While We're Far Apart, and I'm tempted to read it again because I'm pretty sure I read it back in 2010 when it came out. Anyway, this one sounds fun. A deep yearning for home had led Eliza to Wyatt Orchards 10 years ago. Now widowed with 3 young children, she faces mounting debt and the realization it is all up to her, but she has no idea how she will run an orchard alone. When a stranger appears at her doorstep, Eliza guesses he is no different than the other out-of-luck characters searching for work during the Depression. But the familiarity which Gabe tends to the farm raises unanswered questions. With her vulnerable heart, she is unwittingly drawn to his gentle ways. But Eliza also fears that Gabe hides a past and motives that could jeopardize all she has fought to attain for herself and her children. Next, we have The Rose Garden by Suzanne Kearsley. Heard about this one from Krista from Books and Jams. I'm kind of getting into these Susanna Kearsley books. Krista says this is the first one she's read, and this one sounds the most promising to me. This has time travel. When Eva's film star sister Katrina dies, she leaves California and returns to Cornwall, where they spent their childhood summers, to scatter Katrina's ashes, and in doing so, return her to the place where she belongs. But Eva must also confront the ghosts from her own past, as well as those from a time long before her own. For the house where she so often stayed as a child is home not only to her old friends, the Hallets, but also to the people who had lived there in the 18th century. When Eva finally accepts that she is able to slip between centuries and see and talk to the inhabitants from hundreds of years ago, she soon finds herself falling for Daniel Butler, a man who lived and died long before she herself was born. Eva begins to question her place in the present, and in laying her sister to rest, comes to realize that she too must decide where she really belongs, choosing between the life she knows and the past she feels so drawn toward. Cool, huh? Next we have The Cottingley Secret by Hazel Gaynor, another Krista book. The author turns the clock back 100 years to a time when two young girls from Cottingley, Yorkshire, convinced the world that they had done the impossible and photographed fairies in their garden. Wild, huh? 1917. It was inexplicable, impossible, but it had to be true, didn't it? When two young cousins, Frances Griffiths and Elsie Wright from Cottingley, England, claim to have photographed fairies at the bottom of the garden, their parents are astonished. But one of the great novelists of the time, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, becomes convinced of the photography's authenticity. The girls become a national sensation, their discovery offering hope to those longing for something to believe in amidst a world ravaged by war. Frances and Elsie will hide their secret for many decades, but Frances longs for the truth to be told. 100 years later, when Olivia Kavanagh finds an old manuscript in her late grandfather's bookshop, she becomes fascinated by the story it tells of two young girls who mystified the world, but it is the discovery of an old photograph that leads her to realize just how the fairy girls' lives intertwine with hers, connecting past to present and blurring her understanding of what is real and what is imagined. As she begins to understand why a nation once believed in fairies, can Olivia find a way to believe in herself? Next we have Meg, Jo, Beth, Amy, the story of Little Women and Why It Still Matters by Anne Boyd. I can't pronounce his last name. Heard about this one from Miriam Elizabeth Reeds. Don't need to know anymore. Next, I decided to add The Night We Lost Him by Laura Dave. I keep hearing about it, and it's Laura Dave. I read the last thing he told me, and I loved it, so we'll see. I gotta get through these. My throat is getting very tired. This is coming out September 17th. Estranged siblings discover their father has been keeping a secret for over 50 years, one that may have been fatal. Liam Noon was many things to many people. To the public, he was an exacting, self-made hotel manager fleeing his past. To his three ex-wives, he was a loving, albeit distant family man who kept his finances flush and his families carefully separate. To Nora, he was a father who often left her from afar. Notably, a cliffside cottage perched on the California coast from where he fell to his death. The authorities rule the death accidental, but Nora and her estranged brother Sam have other ideas. As Nora and Sam form an uneasy alliance to unravel the mystery, they start putting together the pieces of their father's past and uncover a family secret that changes everything. Next is The Sign for Home by Blair Fell. Heard about this one from the Currently Reading Podcast's Indie Press List. When a young, deaf-blind man learns the girl he thought was lost forever might still be out there, he embarks on a life-changing journey to find her and his freedom. Arlo Dilly is young, handsome, and eager to meet the right girl. He also happens to be deaf-blind, a Jehovah's Witness, and under the strict guardianship of his controlling uncle. His chances of finding someone to love seem slim to none. And yet, it happened once, many years ago, at a boarding school for the deaf. Arlo met the love of his life, a mysterious girl with onyx eyes and beautiful, expressive hands which told him the most amazing stories. But tragedy struck, and their love was lost forever. Or so Arlo thought. After years of trying to heal his broken heart, Arlo is assigned a college writing assignment which unlocks buried memories of his past. Soon he wonders if the hearing people he was supposed to trust had been lying to him all along, and if his lost love might be found again. No longer willing to accept what others tell him, Arlo convinces a small band of misfit friends to set off on a journey to learn the truth. After all, who better to bring on this quest than his gay interpreter and wildly inappropriate Belgian best friend? Despite the many forces working against him, Arlo will stop at nothing to find the girl who got away and experience all of life's joyful possibilities. Next, we have Belle Green by Alexandra Lapierre. Terrible French accent I have. Also recommended by Currently Reading Podcast. Based on the true story of Belle da Costa Green, a woman who defied all odds to carve out a destiny of her own choosing. This is like New York in the 1900s. A young girl fascinated by rare books defies all odds and becomes the director of one of the country's most prestigious private libraries. It belongs to the magnate J.P. Morgan, darling of the international aristocracy and one of the city's richest men. Flamboyant, brilliant, beautiful, Belle is among New York society's most sought-after intellectuals. She also has a secret. Although she looks white, she is African American, the daughter of a famous black activist who sees her desire to hide her origins as a consummate betrayal. Torn between history's ineluctable imperatives and the freedom to belong to the society of her choosing, Belle's drama, which plays out in a violently racist America, is one that resonates forcefully and illuminatingly even today. So it sounds like she has this job and she passes for white, and it's kind of controversial. Next we have The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. I keep hearing about this one. A recently deceased woman meets the one in the afterlife waiting room, scoring a second chance at life and love, if she can find him on Earth before 10 days are up. If she wasn't dead already, Delphi would be dying of embarrassment. Not only did she just die by choking on a microwavable burger, she's also now standing in her sparkle and shine nightie in front of the hottest man she's ever seen. And he's staring at her, smiling. As they start to chat, everything else becomes background noise. That is, until someone comes running through a door, yelling something about a huge mistake, and sends the dreamy stranger back down to Earth. And here, Delphi was thinking her luck might be different in the afterlife. When Delphi is offered a deal in which she can return to Earth and reconnect with the mysterious man, she jumps at the opportunity to find her possible soulmate and a fresh start. But to find him in a city of millions, Delphi is going to have to listen to her heart, learn to ask for help, and perhaps even see the magic in the life she's leaving behind. By Any Other Name by Jodi Picoult. I'm not sure if I'm going to like this, but it's Jodi Picoult, so we'll see. From the best-selling co-author, this is a novel about two women centuries apart, one of whom is the real author of Shakespeare's plays, who are both forced to hide behind another name. So, yeah. Young playwright Melina Green has just written a new work inspired by the life of her Elizabethan ancestor Amelia Bassano, but seeing it performed is unlikely in a theater world where the playing field isn't level for women. As Melina wonders if she dares risk failure again, her best friend takes the decision out of her hands and submits the play to a festival under a male pseudonym. In 1581, young Amelia Bassano is a ward of English aristocrats. Her lessons on languages, history, and writing have endowed her with a sharp wit and a gift for storytelling. But like most women of her day, she is allowed no voice of her own. Forced to become a mistress to the Lord Chamberlain, who oversees all theater productions in England, Amelia sees firsthand how the words of playwrights can move an audition. She begins to form a plan to secretly bring a play of her own to the stage by paying an actor named William Shakespeare to front her work. Told in intertwining timelines in a sweeping tale of ambition, courage, and desire, centers two women who are determined to create something beautiful despite the prejudices they face. Should a writer do whatever it takes to see her story live on stage, no matter the cost? Interesting. Next, we're almost done here. We have Mad Woman by Chelsea Beaker. Heard about this one from Sarah's Bookshelf Live. The world is not made for mothers, yet mothers made the world. Clove has gone to extremes to keep her past a secret. Thanks to her lies, she's landed the life of her dreams, complete with a safe husband and two adoring children who will never know the terrors that was routine in her own childhood. If her buried anxiety threatens to breach the surface, Clove, if that is really her name, focus on finding the right supplement, the right gratitude meditation. But when she receives a letter from a women's prison in California, her past comes screeching into the present, entangling her in a dangerous game with memory and the people she thought she had outrun. As they race between her precarious present-day life in Portland, Oregon, and her childhood in a Waikiki high-rise with her mother and father, Clove is forced to finally unravel the defining day of her life. How did she survive that day, and what will it take to end the cycle of violence? Will the truth undo her, or could it ultimately save her? This one sounds good, but Sarah doesn't always read clean books. Well, that's not her focus, so it might not be clean read. So I'll let you know. A few more. Next we have The Wartime Nursery. This is The Wartime Evacuees number 2 by Lizzie Page. The Wartime Nanny was the Wartime Evacuees number 1, but this one doesn't look like it has anything to do with the Wartime Nanny, so I'm going to read the description anyway. This is coming out September 27th. Norfolk, 1940. In the dark days of the war, Emmeline's nursery is the only thing giving mothers hope. But how long can she keep that hope alive? Emmeline's daughter, Lydia, has already been evacuated, and now as Emmeline loses neighbors and friends to the bombs raining down around her, she must leave London too, for safety and a fresh start. Evacuated to Norfolk and lodging with local politician Lawrence and his unwelcoming wife, Emmeline's loneliness drives her into the arms of other struggling single mothers. The women are desperate to aid the war effort, but they need someone to care for their children. Longing to help, Emmeline pleads with Lawrence to let her open a wartime nursery, the first of its kind. Getting support for the nursery isn't easy, as many believe mothers should stay home. But after rolling up her sleeves, Emmeline finally opens the doors to the old community hall she's worked so hard to spruce up, and the children flood in. So, I'm going to stop there. Oh, his work gets good. But Lawrence's political rival is determined to close down the nursery, just as Emmeline puts down roots in the village and finally found the purpose she's always dreamed of. Will Emmeline be able to save her nursery and stay in Norfolk with the friends and the children she loves so dearly, or will she be forced to return to London and leave her new life and true calling behind? Sounds fun. Next, we have Nightbird Calling by Kathy Gulkey. When Liliana Swope's beloved mother dies, Liliana gathers her last ounce of courage and flees her abusive husband for the home of her only living relative in the foothills of No Creek, North Carolina. Oh, I forgot. Heard about this one from Anne from In Search of Wonder. Though Hyacinth Belvedere hasn't seen Liliana since she was 5, she offers her cherished great niece safe harbor. Their joyful reunion inspires plans to revive Aunt Hyacinth's estate and open a public library where everyone is welcome, no matter the color of their skin. Sounds fun. A library. Last 2 books are from a series, the Starfall Point series by Molly Harper. Ravenclaw Reads hauled the second one, but I'm going to read both of them. So we have, the first one is Witches Get Stuff Done. From the moment Riley Everett set foot in Starfall Point, magic bubbled inside of her, but with only her late aunt's journal and cantankerous live-in ghost butler to instruct her on all things witchy, including her newly inherited Victorian haunted house, Riley seeks out a coven for sisterhood and support. The last person she expects to be drawn to is the owner's frustrating yet ridiculously attractive head librarian. Edison Held knows almost everything there is to know about Starfall Point, but Shadow House was always off limits, thanks to its elusive owner. If he could convince the new owner, Riley, to let him take a peek inside, there's so much he could learn. But as he gets closer to Riley, he's fascinated by her dazzling wit and fiery spirit. Edison will do whatever he can to help Riley keep her family legacy alive, especially if it means spending more time with the captivating new witch in town. Last one, Big Witch Energy. Caroline Wilton is dying to get off Starfall Point, but if she leaves, there's a good chance she'll literally die. For centuries, any Wilton who ventured off the island immediately perished in some freak accident. While Caroline has begrudgingly obeyed her family's curse, she's never forgiven all that it has cost her. After all, her high school sweetheart left for college and never came back, until now. Although Dr. Ben Holt returned to take over the med clinic, in his heart, he came back for Caroline. Practical, sensible Ben was too stubborn to believe in her curse, but when his own 2 teenagers meddled their way into coven business, Ben's eyes are open to the world of magic. He quickly learns that Caroline and her friends have the power to see ghosts, like the angry woman in 18th century garb occupying her family's tavern with a menacing glare. And boy, do they need managing. As the witches dig through old spell books for insight, they discover the angry tavern ghost as one of the island's most sinister legends, information that could be the key to breaking the Wilton curse and giving Caroline the life she's always wanted with the man she's always loved. And that, my friends, is the end of what I added to Goodreads Part 1. I need a gallon of water after all that. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I had 4 subscribers in the last few days, and I'm kind of excited about it. I would love about 10 more. I mean, I'd love more than 10, but you know. Gotta dream small. See you guys. Bye.
Speech on. Stop recording video.